Hi, friends. Welcome back. All right. Do you remember what we talked about yesterday in science? Yes, we talked about those feathery animals, the animals that were covered with feathers, those soft feathers. What are animals called that are covered in feathers? Yes, birds. And we know that many birds fly, don't they? They fly in the sky. Do you remember what this bird was? Yes, an owl. And this owl, do you remember when he flies and hunts? Yes, at night. At night. He is nocturnal. Nocturnal. That means he's awake at night and he sleeps during the day. Owl. So most birds fly, but there are some birds that don't fly. They are covered with feathers, but they do not fly. They have little wings. Penguins. Penguins do not fly, but they have a special talent. They fly through the water. They are really good swimmers, and that, is where they find their meals. So, what do you think they swim after in the ocean? Yes, fish. They like to catch fish and eat them. Hmm, Penguins, they don't fly. There's also another bird, the largest bird that does not fly. Let me see if I can find a picture of him. Mhm. I had one in here, but I don't know what happened to him. He's a big bird and he just walks. He is this bird right here. Do you know what that is? Yes, that's an ostrich. Ostriches, they don't fly either, but they are covered with feathers and they have really long legs. Why do you think they have such long legs? Yes, because they run. They run instead of fly. All right. And let's see, what else did we find out yesterday? We found out that birds hatch from what? Eggs. Yes, from eggs. So birds lay eggs, and they come in all different sizes and colors. Some are big, some are small. Hummingbirds lay very small eggs, and ostriches, they are huge birds, and so they lay very big eggs. And if you go to our Cincinnati Zoo, you would see an ostrich in the African area. They're pretty cool. Okay, so when birds lay eggs, it's usually in the springtime, and they have to lay them someplace. So, do you remember what they build in order to lay their eggs and to protect their young and take care of them? Yes, they build nests. And I just happen to have two different nests that the birds have built. Here's one. It's just so amazing that birds can build these very intricate nests using their feet and their bills or their beaks. And then when they lay their eggs are able to have a nice soft place to be while the bird is sitting on their eggs and keeping them warm until they hatch. So that's one nest that I have. And I also have this nest, which has less of the straw and more mud. This bird used a lot of mud to build his nest. And look at that. There was even some paper. I found this near a school, and someone's homework was in there. It's kind of neat. Very cool. So, nests. Now, we read yesterday that nests can be built up high in a tree, and some are built like an eagle's nest is huge, and sometimes they build them at the top of like a telephone tower. Here's an amazing nest. Look at that. That bird was able to weave a nest that looked like that. Sometimes they make nests in caves. And so there are all different kinds of nests. This one is completely made out of mud, and this one is weaved very intricately. So make sure you look up in the trees when you're taking a walk and try and find the nests that birds have left behind. Okay, so let's see, what else do we know about birds? Something we did not talk about yesterday was the fact that they have a skeleton. They are vertebrate animals, and the interesting thing about their bones is that their bones are hollow. They're not solid. They're very light. Why do you think their bones need to be light, not heavy? Yeah, because they need to fly. And so they wouldn't be able to fly if their bones were heavy and solid. So their bones are hollow and light. Okay, let's see what else. Do birds breathe in the water or do they breathe in the air? Yes, they breathe air. So if they breathe air, what do they have inside of them? Just like we have. Mammals have these to help us breathe, and so do birds. Lungs. Yes, they have lungs. And birds are warm-blooded, just like mammals. That is something that they have in common also with mammals, is that birds are warm-blooded. And so in the winter time, they kind of puff up their feathers and they puff up their bodies and it gathers that air and it keeps them warm. They might grow a few extra feathers or those downy feathers that are underneath. Those keep them warm. And penguins, when they are on the ice and the snow, they get really, really close together and they use their body heat to keep each other warm. It's kind of cool. All right, so birds are warm-blooded, just like mammals, and they have a skeleton or a vertebrate, just like mammals. Let's see, what else? How do they eat? How do birds eat? Do they have mouths like our mouths? Do they have teeth? Well, similar. They don't have teeth, but they have a bill. Do you see the bill on the eagle? Yeah. An eagle is a bird that attacks other animals, say birds or mice or other small mammals, and they eat the meat. And so the eagle has this kind of pointy, sharp beak. And a duck likes to eat the weeds and the different things that you would find in a pond. And so the duck's bill is not pointy, the duck's bill is rounded. Do you see that? It's rounded and flat. The woodpecker, look how pointy the woodpecker's bill is, because it pecks into the tree and it eats insects from the tree. It's kind of cool. And the hummingbird has a very long bill and skinny. Do you see that? Because the hummingbird drinks nectar from a flower. Hummingbirds are an example of a bird here in Ohio that would migrate. What does that mean to migrate? It means that they go from colder places to warmer places in order to stay warm. And then, so let's say this hummingbird lived in Ohio in the summertime when it was warm, but then when it started to get colder in the fall, they would migrate or fly down to places like Georgia and North Carolina, South Carolina, Florida, down south where it's a little bit warmer so that they could stay alive and stay healthy during those winter months when it was cold. But there are some birds that don't migrate, like cardinals, for example. Cardinals stay in their same area. They don't migrate. They stay. all through the winter, and blue jays. So I bet if you were a really good bird watcher, you could see those blue jays and cardinals, maybe at your house or in a park. All right, so we have a lot of information about birds, and so we are going to make our bird word web. Do you remember making our mammal word web last month? Well, this month we are going to make our bird word web. So please get yourselves ready. You need to find your bird word web and a pencil and a hard surface to write on, like your work table or some kind of lap board to put on your lap. Okay? So please pause this video and go find these materials, and I will see you right back here in just a second. Hello, welcome back. Okay, so here is your bird word web. And remember, whatever is in the center circle is what we're talking about. And this month we're talking about birds. So in these bubbles, we are going to write one fact about birds. We're going to write one fact in each bubble. So how many facts are we going to find about birds? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All right, let's talk about observations that we can make about birds. What are birds covered with? Yes, feathers. So birds are covered with feathers. Let's write the word feathers. And we're going to write the word feathers right up here in the top bubble. Are you ready? The first sound is f. You need to keep your letters kind of tiny so that you can fit all the letters in the word. I'm going to move this up so that you can see my letters a little bit better. Here we go. F, eh. Now, feathers has a weird A in here. E-A says in the word feathers. F, T-H says fed. Fed. And remember, when we say at the end of the word, it needs to be an E-R. Do they just have one feather? No, they have many feathers, keeping them warm and giving them their color. Feathers. So there's more than one, we need to add an S. Their bodies are covered with feathers. Okay, what else do we know about birds that we've talked about? Yes, eggs. They lay eggs. So let's write lay, L, A, lay. Lay. What do they lay? Eggs. And what hatches from those eggs? Yes, baby birds hatch from eggs. And those baby birds need to be taken care of. So what do birds do? What do they have to do in order to protect their eggs and their babies? Yes, they build nests. So we're going to write nests. Nest. They build a nest. Birds build a nest to lay their eggs and to protect their babies. Okay, so far we have birds, are covered with feathers. Birds lay eggs. Birds build a nest to protect their young. What else? Yes, let's talk about their body. What is inside their body, just like a mammal? Yes, a vertebrate or a skeleton. And that vertebrate, which is the backbone or the skeleton, are made up of hollow bones. So let's write the word bones. Ready? B. O. Right now this word says bon. To make that O say its name, we need to give it a magic E. Now it says bone. Does this pigeon have one bone or many bones? Yes, many bones. So we need to add an S to make that plural. So it says more than one. Birds have bones. What kind of bones do they have? Yes, hollow, light bones. Way to go. All right, what else did we talk about? Oh, I know. How about what was this called? Yes, their bill or their beak. And the shape of their bill depends on what they eat, whether they eat insects or small mammals or fish or plants. Depends on what shape their bill is or their beak. Let's spell the word bill. B. I. O. Bill. All right, and we need one more fact about birds. We talked about what type of blood they have. Are they cold-blooded or are they warm-blooded? Yes, they are warm-blooded, which means many birds migrate when it gets cold. But other birds have adaptations, like the penguin, and the penguins, they get really close together to share body heat. All right, so let's write warm-blooded. Warm. W. Or, and that sounds like O-R, but it's A-R. Warm. Warm-blooded. Now keep your writing small. B. O. D. Warm-blooded. Birds are warm-blooded animals. And what we didn't write was that they breathe with lungs. Yes. And something else we didn't talk too much about, like how do they communicate? How do they talk to each other? Right, they chirp and they sing songs. And every bird has a different song. And some of them have different types of songs depending on what they are trying to communicate. So if you get onto those live cams, and if my link didn't work, you can just look up on YouTube live bird cam, and you'll be able to see lots of birds. So I want you to really observe what they look like and what they sound like. I hope yesterday you were able to count many birds at your house. All right, let's get back to our web. So let's review what we've written about birds. And then down here at the bottom, we are going to write a sentence about birds. Here we go. Birds are covered with feathers. Birds lay eggs. Birds build a nest to protect their young. Birds have bones that are hollow that allow them to fly. Birds have a bill, and their bill determines what they eat, and it helps them. So maybe some birds that eat seeds, like the cardinal, their birds are short and sharp so that they can break those nuts and seeds and get to the good part. Birds are warm-blooded. Birds breathe with lungs. And most birds fly, don't they? And we didn't even write those. We could fill in many other bubbles to say facts, tell facts about our birds. All right, let's write a sentence. I'm going to write one sentence with you, and then I want you to try and write a sentence using one of our bubbles. So I'm going to write about birds and their feathers. So I'm going to write birds, and this is the beginning of the sentence. So I need a capital B, just like it is in the middle of the circle. Birds. And I'm just copying this word. Birds are, finger space, R, A, R, E. Birds are covered, K, of, covered, covered. Birds are covered with TH says, just like in feathers, with feathers. And I'm copying the word feathers from up here. Feathers. Birds are covered with feathers, period. That means it's the end of my sentence. Okay, birds are covered with feathers. Now, what else would you like to write about? You need to write another sentence here using the word birds and one of your bubbles. Feel free to add more details to your sentence. Okay, this word web should come back to your teacher in the Friday folder. Make sure you talk to an adult or a sibling about the things you know about birds. And my challenge for you today is to go outside, set that timer again, and this time, instead of counting how many birds you saw, like we did yesterday, I want you to write down the colors of the feathers from the birds that you see outside at your house, or you can get onto that live cam again and you can look at those birds and see all the beautiful colors. The second camera that I put up was from Pennsylvania. If you just look up PA bird watching, oh my gosh, it's amazing. There are so many different colored birds. There were bluebirds on that live camera and cardinals and woodpeckers. Oh my goodness. So today's challenge is to write the colors of the birds that you see. So if you see a cardinal, what color should you write? Yes, red. If you see a blue jay, what color should you write? Yes, blue. Blue. And white. That blue jay has white on him too. And I see a lot of blackbirds and brown birds when I look out the window or when I sit and watch my bird feeder. So today's challenge for you is to make observations of the different colored feathers you see on the birds outside or on that live cam. All right, friends, use your observation skills, do your best work, and enjoy nature and the birds that are around you. See you tomorrow.